Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody,
Shortly.
we are live on YouTube now, trying to be live on Facebook, and then we will start shortly.
Limited. And then when you unmute.
Greetings everyone. Nanku Mbongo, Umbuyisa, Ungaleza, Undima, Usondisa, Umvwenyama. Ozalwa pha kwifamily yabomanzana okhumalo omtungwa omdleke. Ndithi kuwe welcome to the state of the art with Thami Mbongo. As you know, Uguti, as from last week, we were starting to talk about the upcoming elections that are happening. And our show is called State of the Art with Thami Mbongo, whereby we discuss some of the burning issues around cultural and creative industry. Sometimes I share my views, and sometimes I invite guests into the show and we unpack some of the things. Last week I did a show. It was titled, Why Should Cultural and Creative Practitioners Not Be Voting for the Ruling Party? And I gave some of the reason in that show. And on Monday, this Monday, we had a guest from the Democratic Alliance, Uputsepo Mhlongo, who's also a member of parliament. They represent the EDA. In Action SA, we had Sisile Rato Ngobeni, Apo represent Action SA. Why should artists be voting for Action SA? In economic freedom fighters, we had Ringo Madlingosi, who's also a member of the parliament. And I want to emphasize this. This invitation has been sent out to various political parties across South Africa. And today, I've also extended to our other 14 parties that are in parliament, because we've sent them an email to sort of like making sure everyone, especially the parties that are already represented in the parliament, we want them to be part, and also opening up for the new organizations that are coming up. Just to refresh our mind, South Africans, in South Africa, a parliament is in an organization about 14, and I want to go through them before we start this show. We've got African Christian Democratic Party, ACTP. We've sent an invite. We've got Jama-ah, which are part of the guest today. We've got African Independent Congress, IEC. We've got African National Congress, ANC, African Transformation Movement. We've got Congress of the People, COPE, Democratic Alliance, Economic Freedom Fighters, Freedom Front Plus. We've got Good Party. We've got Inkatha Freedom Party. We've got National Freedom Party, NFP. We've got Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, PAC. We've got United Democratic Movement, UDM. Out of all these organizations so far, we've engaged with about 3 out of 14. But the other organizations that are not part, as I've mentioned earlier, it was Action SA. Today we've got someone from African Convention Party, ACDP, and we've got the Democratic Artist Party, UDEP. And when I sent that email, so far in all the other parties, the only one that has responded now that we are going live on the show, it was National Freedom Party. So I'm hoping by the end of today's show, on Friday and Monday, Wednesday and Friday next week, we're going to have more political parties so that we engage. But before we go to our main question, we've got 3 guests today. The first one is Ubuti Uloyiso Udamui from the African People's Convention. Uloyiso, dicela uzibulsele baphulaphula. Is Loyiso there? I think Loyiso also mentioned earlier Uguti is also experiencing load shedding, so network might be bad. But so long, if Loyiso is not there, can I ask Sis Julia as introduce ku show?
Yeah, hi everybody. As Julia Apani speaking. The founding president of Democratic Artist Party in your midst here. And I am moving with Andy Bell, the co-founder of the party, DAP, Democratic Artist Party. Its name has been named after the artist because it was founded by the artists.
Aha, siyabulela sisi wami. Farouk, let's hand over so that our audience can meet you. Farouk is from Al Jama-ah.
I am Farouk. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good. I'm from Al Jama-ah. I'm an artist. I believe that artists should actually lead the industry. They should run everything in terms of that. I've recently also been nominated for Mzansi Arts and Media Awards. I've won that. Yeah, so I'm one of the guys that's in the arts industry, and I'm actually happy to see another party that's also representing the arts, which is which is good.
Aha, we are going to talk more. Is Loiso still able to connect with us? Mr. Tamoy?
I think so, Thami, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Let's see your video. We want to see you. Full of board.
I didn't do my makeup. Hola.
Sure.
My name is Loiso and the Kala Ekapa, originally from the Eastern Cape. I'll be APC this afternoon. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you very much. As you know, Uguti, you are invited to the show, and the topic is why should the cultural and creative practitioners vote for your party? Let me start with Al Jama-ah, because you are already in parliament, and I know you don't have quite a big representative for now, but tell us about what is it, before we even start to engage on my question. Uguti, what is it that Al Jama-ah has been doing, especially for the artists in the country?
Okay, well, on our side, since the beginning of the lockdown, we know very well that, you know, the creative sector has been the hardest the pandemic, and people actually need, you know, business to go on. What we've been doing, we've tried. We also know that, yes, people haven't received a lot of funding and stuff like that. So what we've been trying to do is push government that's currently in power to make sure that the artists get what they need. And we believe that our artists are supposed to be the ones that should run, you know, things from a government perspective. I'm actually happy to see that artists are now engaging in, you know, the political sphere. We should be there, because if we don't, no one's going to fight for us. It's just a good thing that I am part of this party and they fully support the creative sector. But we'll go into more detail. What we've been doing is we've been trying to pressurize, you know, from the parliament sector, you know, like up there, to say, okay, now let's push for things to start happening. And it's almost like, you know, getting a little bit here. What we can do is we'll put and show that artists will help people to actually acquire funds. Will be able to teach things properly, because sometimes people submit things and they haven't done it properly, they never received funding. So we're going to try and change that situation and see where we can assist with certain issues that we've been facing. So we have been active.
Okay, I was going to say we are going to come into detail. I just want to get a taste. Sis Julie, let me come to you. Before we even start the debate, Uguti, what drove you, you understand, and co-founders to decide to form an artistic party in South Africa?
Yeah, everybody here, if we are real to ourselves, as the citizens of this country, as the true denizens of South Africa, we should be agreeable that for a long time, you know, arts and culture has been flushed out, was ever since flushed out of the systems of the government. Arts and culture never had a societal interest and attention. Arts and culture never had anybody, including whatever political party in parliament, which was pushing its agenda. I am saying so because you look at the systems themselves. They are not even, viable for arts and culture sector. Let us firstly look at the artists themselves. There are no workshops, there are no trainings, there are no summits, there is nothing at all which is meant for the artist, and it doesn't start there. Even the policy itself, we know exactly that our government is still operating with the draft document. We don't have the policy for arts and culture as the government of South Africa. So one may go to an extent of just asking if there are the parties which are pushing an agenda for arts and culture. Where were they all along? Where were they all along when artists or arts and culture itself is never legislated? Where are they all along when the arts and culture issues were never captured in National Growth and Development Strategy? Where were they all along when the parliament itself doesn't even table arts and culture issues? Where were all those parties all along when arts and creative economy is not implemented? We're not gonna say we give attention to arts and culture sector, whereas music piracy is a business as usual, whereas music piracy is a very legitimate business here in South Africa. Where are the parliament ministers? Where are our MEC for arts and culture? Where are everyone while artists are just ripping off by the recording labels, by the promoters, by the marketing managers, by almost everybody? Artists are always stranded in paupers' funerals. Artists are going through hardships. Artists, it's like it becomes fashionable to every party to talk about artists only during elections. So as Democratic Artists Party, we're saying we know exactly that South Africa is a mixed economy country. So all the economies are visible. All the economies are practicable, they are practiced, but as economy, the giant economy is still, asleep. So where are those parties? If we are all pushing the agenda for arts and culture, where are the IDP agendas which are encompassed with arts and culture issues? So as Democratic Artist Party, we are saying artists have been going through hardships and enough is enough. Arts economy should be the order of the day. Arts economy should be the order of the day. As Democratic Artists Party, we're going to implement arts and creative economy. We want to see artists workshopped. We want to see artists trained. We want to see the works of artists of the highest quality in a way that they become very much market connected continentally and internationally. Artists getting better incentives, our country collecting the best revenue from the works of the artists.
Siyabulela ugibiselile sisithuli mina bengafuna ungene singekangeni kahle to the question ukuthi why should artists be voting for your party, but we will come back to that. I see Uloyiso. Can I ask my guest also, when the other one is talking, please make sure your mic is off so that we don't hear the background. Our third guest, Loyiso Tamoi from African People's Convention. I think it used to be in Parliament and now not represented. Loyiso, tell us a little bit, especially about the AFPC in the space of the cultural and creative industry. Before we answer the question, why should cultural and creative practitioners vote for your party? Ngoku safuna nje i-intro ke sive ke parties. Loyiso Tamoyo.
Hey, that's it. It's telling you strong way. Yeah, sorry guys, I've kicked now. I think I'll start from those wheres and wheres and wheres and wheres. I think from necessary where I fall in when I put Thami in terms of the in terms of the APC, yeah, is to actually answer those questions, yeah, because we're in the spaces whereby I was asking where are they. I think even Umamela Nyams at some point put on her Facebook that we should have our own party as artists, and there was nothing of which we don't know of it here in Cape Town, that there is a nice party like this that support artists. So as a result, now we end up infiltrating these other parties to say, you know what, there's a song that we used to sing at church that says, be bright in the corner where you are. You know, so we want to enter there and share the light while we're there. You understand what I'm saying? So as APC, as an artist, is for us to push in and be within the people and make them do the right choices. So exactly for now, locally, that's where the APC is. It's to, in all, I think in Cape Town, in about 5 wards, we have people that are lead roles in the art, who have been in the art in the past 25 years. And that's our strategy to start with the local and have our people there in front as AMA councillors. And if you start building from the community going up, I don't think you should start from the top, because the top is fake. So we have to break everything and start. Even when you build a house, you start from the foundation. So as XPC, that's where we're standing. That's our entry point from the local government to make 90% of the councillors our artists, because the ground is already fertile. You know, the organization is spread throughout the country, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but to just get into what has been happening already and try to change their mindsets. That's where we are.
Okay, now let's come to the topic of today. Why should cultural and creative industry vote for your party? I want to start with you, Jama-ah, because your party has been in parliament since 2019. And I think it's represented, if I'm not mistaken, by Mr. Muhammad Hanif Abraham and Hendricks. And you won about 0.18, which gave you 1 seat in parliament. And when you were talking now, you were saying you are also pushing the portfolio parliament committee. We understand, and maybe you can tell us more about that, because maybe a lot of artists don't even know that. And I know Jama-ah is not part of the portfolio committee in parliament in sport, arts and culture. We understand that because we've been engaging. So maybe in unpacking that question, why should cultural and creative industry practitioner in South Africa vote for Jama-ah? Also tell us, what are the things that Jama-ah has been doing since they were in parliament in 2019. We understand. Over to you. You've got 5 to 10 minutes. No one is going to disrupt you. You're going to speak, and I'm going to give also other party 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to speak lesser than 5 minutes, it's fine, but we are going to allow you so that you sell yourself to people out there. Jama-ah, over to you.
Okay, thank you for that. As you know, Jama-ah came into Parliament in 2019. So that's fairly a short space of time for us to actually work with the creative sector. But what we have done is that the president of the party has spoken to the minister and made requests, gave him examples of what to do, gave him advice. And it's almost as if it just went through a little bit of a 1 year and out by the other side. Why Jama-ah? If I look at the party itself, the focus is not always just on the art side. I need to be honest, it's a political party. We're focusing on the whole country. So we're looking at sorting out things for people in general all over. The whole country is basically in a mess at the moment. But where does it come into effect when it comes to the art side? If I look at myself and my expertise and what I can do within the industry, and having the full backing of the party itself, I cannot only focus on, say, the pandemic time, like, 2020, 2021 being so bad. In general, it's a bit of a struggle. I'm an artist. Everyone else out there that's actually listening and watching this, we are artists, we know what the difficulties are that we actually face. It's not easy because it's not something where you can play a lotto number and boom, the struggle is real. You can be a musician, you can be a guy that's painting and stuff like that. You can be a filmmaker, an actor. It's not easy to get to the top, you know, and we have to work with it. But what Al Jama-ah can come with is the expertise that we have in terms of business. We can help, you know, my fellow colleagues out there how to apply for funding from government sector and actually ensure that there is no corruption. Let's face it, the problem is not money. Money is just, you know, we can pluck money onto a wound, but it's not going to solve the problem. We need the industry to be awakened. It needs to be alive. It needs to get back to business. If we're not working, we're not doing anything. And a lot of people, if there's people that's ministers, that's in the industry, that's supposed to look after the creative sector, and they're not linked to the industry, or they do not even have a love for the arts, they're not supposed to be there. We cannot just split it into the creative sector. We have to look at it. It's sports, recreation, arts, and culture. There's different things. And let's face it, let's be honest, I'm not here to throw, you know, shade on the sports sector, but for sports people, they have a salary. During the lockdown, they could still do their training. They could still do a couple of things here and there and still get paid. For us, it was a bit of a different story. We were dependent on, you know, funds to keep us alive, and we couldn't do anything. Events were closed, venues were closed. We couldn't do anything. And I myself, I tried my best to help a lot of artists out there. And because of my efforts that I've done in that, I actually got recognition, and I was nominated as, you know, one of the winners in the Mzansi Arts and Media Awards for being the best events organizer. I know that I have the full backing of this party, and we are such that we do not focus on, you know, laws per democracy. You know, I don't see democracy as something that actually works in this country. It doesn't work for us. We need a different economic system. I do not believe in interest charges. I do not believe in a whole bunch of other things. We have a complete different system and setting of how things work. What I would want to see is artists actually having business come back to normal. And that's what we're going to focus on. And we will make sure that we give the support that people need. We're going to run after the people that never got paid. We want to make sure that people actually receive their COVID-19 relief funds. We want to make sure that people are actually back in business, assist them, because as an artist, it's a business. You're an artist, it's your individual business. You have to make something work out of it. So it's about transferring business skills to make sure that people can actually build a successful business for themselves. Passing on those type of skills. But I'm also looking at, like I mentioned, you know, sports, recreation, arts, and culture. Here's the catch. Whenever there's sporting events, do we have a slot in there for people that are creative? Do the artists actually feature like painting or something? Does someone get like, you know, airtime to show that, hey, here's a musician singing with those type of things? So it is all of these things that we're looking at. Those are platforms that we can use as the creative sector. You know, during the lockdown, they could have used any of the sporting events that were permitted. Why didn't they actually give us a space over there? It's just logic. So it's the problem at the end of the day is bad administration. And I'm not just saying that for the creative arts sector, I'm saying that politics in general. Bad administration. If I look at potholes in the streets, I don't want to hear about the politician telling me about potholes in the streets. We know South Africa has an aging infrastructure. In the same way, we have an aging system that doesn't enable the creative sector to actually take the best out of it. And we're going to make sure that those things are implemented. It's all about experience. People need to understand the industry to be in charge of it. And if they do not understand the industry, they're going to waste their time. We're going to face the same type of problems over and over. So it's about bad administration, people that are not qualified to actually handle this, and they do not look at the opportunities that actually avail themselves. Let's take, for instance, I'm here in Nelson Mandela Bay, right? And I'm campaigning for Ward 7, and I'm looking at my own city, and I'm looking at how things are going on this side in the Eastern Cape. We have been the hardest hit with the economic crisis, you know, and the lockdowns and all of these things. Our unemployment rate is extremely bad. We've got the worst
of everyone in the country, it's the worst. You can go and look at statistics. Joblessness is bad. A lot of people lost their jobs as artists. A lot of people lost their houses. They were renting places, spaces where they had their studios and stuff like that. It's bad. We need the support, but money is not the only thing that we need. People need to understand the passion that we have for the work that we do. A lot of people do not understand the power that we actually have as creatives. I mean, like, we drive, we record history. We basically show people the beauty of the nature around us. That's another thing. Apart from that, it's our culture that we represent. We are the face of this country. And if people do not respect that face and honor us for all the work that we do, should we actually even do anything for them as politicians, for the political sphere? We actually have more power than they can actually imagine. You get this thing called psychological warfare, psyops, and those type of things. Artists are sometimes recruited in those fields to drive the perception of the public. If a musician decides now to go against the politician and sings a bad song about him and everyone sings to that tune, he's gone. His career is gone. You understand what I'm saying? If we may start making bad films, they shouldn't mess with this industry. This is something that I understand. This is something that this party understands. We know the passion behind the entire industry. I've got the full backing of the party. And what I would want to do is to make sure that we don't only get funds from government to say, okay, here's money, go and, do your thing. No, we want to be, we want to have everything facilitated. They must make things easy for us to do business. We're not being helped at all. That's why you get this thing where they say, you get suffering artists out there, hunger, artists going hungry because they're not making it in the industry. Yes, we're not in some competition with each other. We've got a whole bunch of musicians. We've got a whole bunch of actors. We've got a whole bunch of people that's doing paintings and everything and poetry and writing books. We all do that. We know what it takes for us to do these things. If you put someone there that doesn't understand what we do, doesn't understand our passion, it's not always just about money, but money is a big thing, yes. But we also need to upskill people. There's a lot of talent. I've seen such amazing talent in my own city. And I look at these youngsters, boys from the Kasi, and they do such amazing work. It's masterworks. And it's very difficult for people to actually get in there. The other thing is I will actually fight and force so that our municipalities should actually accept work from local artists, on the ground. If they need something to be done at the school, at any municipal building, give it to the artists, the creatives. We need to paint those buildings. We need to do the murals. If there's some show happening, someone needs to go and sing locally. Stop taking people from other countries and stop bringing people into different places. When we talk about, international, investment into art, art is an investment. You know what happens to musicians when they're singing songs overseas in America and they're getting paid big bucks? The same thing needs to happen here. Same thing needs to happen for our actors. Same thing needs to happen for our own Picassos. I don't want to hear the name Picasso. I want to hear some local name being the next top thing out there. That's what I want to see. And this is what this party wants to see. The other, the other political parties out there, they haven't given that thought to it. They don't see the massive power behind it. I understand that. This party understands it. I made sure that everyone else in the party understands it. And I have the full backing and they are just as passionate. The president of the party is just as passionate. But it's not the only focus that I have. It's not just the creative sector. We have to focus on everything. Because if I say, yes, we're going to support the creative sector, but we need buy-in from the general public. People need to be able to work. Who's going to buy our music? Who's going to go and watch our films? Who's going to come to our shows if they don't have money? This is where we come into effect. We want to make sure that people actually have jobs. People have enough money to come and invest into our works. A lot of people buy certain things and it becomes, very valuable. It becomes an alternative, investment. Those are the things that we need to focus on. My artworks, if you had to see it, if you had to look at the stories behind it, you will understand the power behind it. I don't only capture a little bit of things here and there. It's a lot of history that is not within our mainstream education system even. So I'm trying to preserve something that's basically been swept under the rug. My stuff focuses on a diversity of cultures. If I look at myself, a lot of people, I'm like, okay, which nationality do I belong to? People wouldn't know. I'm mixed. I identify myself as an Afro-Eurabian. There's African, European, and Arab in my bloodline. So all of these things, that diversity of cultures, all come through my creative expressions in my artworks, in what I do, in what I write. I capture that history, that knowledge, and everything. That's what I do. I want to know what the others have to say.
Thank you very much. Remember, our guests, you've got 5 to 10 minutes to tell us. And the question is, why should the cultural and creative industry in South Africa vote for you? Let me give this opportunity to Loyiso Tamoi, because your party was also in parliament. And in your opening statement, you were saying you are glad there is a party by artists. Does that mean that everyone that was meant to vote for your party, they can now vote for Democratic Artist Party? Because you were saying in your opening speech, Uguti, there's no one who's representing the interest of artists. You understand that? And now we've got a party. So why should the cultural and creative industry practitioners vote for your party? Or are you saying today you are declaring, Uguti, support the artists? Everyone should be behind the Democratic Artist Alliance. Your 5 to 10 minutes starts now. Over to
you. I think when let me start by clarifying that, comrade. I'm not saying that. Yeah, well, I think where I'm coming from is from the questions that where are the people, you know. So I was reversing the question back, you know, to my friend here or my colleague, that I didn't know you even exist until today, until this conference, you know. So that question cannot be a center of everything. Do you understand? What we need to do is to find a way to work together, because we are artists, you know. So I think what I was expressing, for us to go out of our way as artists, to go in spaces, you know, and force our way into spaces whereby we could have saved the time and just be one, because artists are united, you know, all over the world, artists are united. But yeah, vote still for APC. Don't vote for anyone else. You know, even you, please vote for us. All right. I think for me, when Thami, of course, we've been in parliament. As much as I don't want, I would like to speak on a national level. But if the House allows me and it's my time, you know, I want to keep it local, closer to the people. Because I feel there is too much going on up there, and I'm more interested to what we can do in the words, because the vote won't come from, you know, from out there. They will come from the local people that have been for the longest time neglected. Yes, now we can blame who was supposed to do the legislation, was supposed to do that, was supposed to do that. But for the longest time, our people have not been consulted. And we can all agree on that, today we wake up, there's a new minister, the next day there's another one. We are not being consulted, we're just being decided upon, if that makes sense. I think for us, I speak more for a Black child, because I am a Pan-Africanist. You know, I believe we've been so most of the time inferior, even in art, you know, that there's a certain group of people that think they own the art. I think this debate has been throughout who started art, you know. So as local artists now we end up, even we had this conversation before, when you go perform in town, then all of a sudden you are named a professional, you forget about, you know, where you come from. So basically for us, the reason why I think you should vote for us, as I said, we have 5 councillors in different wards that are contesting to be ward councillors, you know, and those guys, I can bet you my life, they've been in the industry for more than 20 years. They know what they're doing, and they know the pain of the artist, you know. So in Cape Town, we'll sing one voice, that we vote and we support, you know, APC, because of those individuals that are involved within the industry. Number two, we have done what you call a research kind of a thing, so that we know exactly what are the artists engaging different artists, in different spaces, to say if we're in government, what is it that as an artist we're missing? As I said, one for foremost, APC, we stand by good governance. It's one of our fundamental goals is to bring good governance, and so within governance, because you cannot govern anyone without those people's involvement. So it means we will involve each and every member of the community. That includes the artists. That's what we're doing, engaging different artists, musicians, but on the local level, to speak to the boy next door who walks down the road rapping, to say, how can the political party assist you? I don't know if that makes sense. Another thing we are doing is to build a database of the artists. In our manifesto, one of the things we're going to do as well is to create a ward focus budget. So that means each and every ward will have a budget that is allocated within our disposal of our hands. So if we're governing a people, so people can say, artists can say, in that ward or in that budget that we have for artists within the ward, we want to do A and B and C, okay? And one of the things we want to do is to get people that specialize in those different fields. So if you get a guy in hip hop, you get a guy in this, and these people, they create a team so that we know exactly what is happening in the ward. So if you can conquer within the ward and do programs that are focused on the ward, if anything development happens in the ward, those artists from that ward should be awakened. Because you find even in our wards that a certain group that is good in Guguletu can come to Kailicha and do performance. It's not wrong, but if we have structures in place that says, you know what, we want to develop the artists from the ward. Like for instance, in my ward, Ward 97, we have developed a lot of good artists, without any, help from the government, without any platform to the government say, okay, this is your platform, this is your financial injection for you to do these programs that you're doing. But now we want to zone it more at home. One of the things we've been talking about is to, create shows. You get shows like big shows like Omoja. So each ward to create their own show. So if Ward 97 is doing a show, is given maybe 100,000 to create a show. That show can travel, that show can generate its own profit. So those artists in those wards, they benefit. So that's why it's important for you as an artist, if in your ward you see, here is my fellow artist, fending for us there, you need to support and vote for those guys. It is very, very important. Vote for APC, vote for us. Vote for Mfundo Rashe, vote for Loiso Tamoy, vote for Zikona, vote for Utepo. Those are your guys that has infiltrated those spaces locally, and then we can build going forward. I think, Thami, I'm gonna leave it at that because I wanna wait for everyone to speak so that I don't share everything in my secret box.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, the question that we are posing to the political party, it's up to them how they are answering in the 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I understand. But the cultural and creative industry practitioners and the structures throughout South Africa are listening to the answers. So now let's go to Democratic Artist Party. Finally, which one artist? For a artist in South Africa. So Siswam, you can also bring your co-founder in this one. It's acceptable. Why should cultural and creative industry practitioners in South Africa vote for your party? Your 5 to 10 minutes starts now.
Yeah. Thanks, brother, and almost everyone, and even the viewers there in every corner of South Africa. We're saying, as Democratic Artist Party, I've been listening to my colleagues talking, but seated here, I was just asking myself, are my colleagues knowing exactly what is the root cause of all those problems they mentioned, all those problems attached to this sector? What is the root cause? We need to get to the root cause. Because now, if you do not know the root cause, it won't be able for you, to solve all those problems. And at the end of the day, you boldly saying, let all the people or the arts and creative industry vote my party. Let me start by saying, we need to all of us acknowledge that, arts and cultural sector is just a fiasco, starting from the political aspect of view up to the administrative aspect of view. Share with me the same sentiments when I'm saying the sector they are talking about, it's not where we are seated now. We have to be agreeable that it's not even existing. Not existing in a sense that it's never synchronized. Every artist is just working in silos. If I'm working at my rightful space, indoor is big, me just seeing what best can I do. Another artist in another corner just seeing what best can I do for me to just get, some sense for bread. There is no sector there. Firstly, as Democratic Artist Party, we're saying we need to coordinate or synchronize the sector first. I'm saying this because even if you can go to the minister, just tell me, how many singer artists are we having? How many pottery doers are we having? How many beat makers are we having? The minister won't be able to give an appropriate response to that question. You go to the MECs for sports and culture, cutting across the whole country, you asking them the same question, they won't respond to it. According to the Democratic Artist Party, we're talking about arts and cultural sector by the word of mouth. The sector itself has been turned into a dead wood. It's not existing in terms of, when we're saying this is a sector, let me give you this as an example. When you're talking about the teaching fraternity, when you're talking about education, you will be getting that if you go to this minister, tell me how many teachers are we having in Limpopo? How many teachers for CPD or for English are we having? The minister will be able to say, we're having this number of teachers. We holistically in the country, we're having so and so CPD teachers, we're having so and so English teachers. But when it comes to sports, arts and culture, no one could respond to that question. So as Democratic Artist Party, we're gonna start by synchronizing the sector, because now every artist is working in silos, in the form of NPOs, in the form of NGOs. Every artist is just seeing by himself or herself, what best can I do for myself? Until the sector is synchronized, we can't talk about arts and culture sector. We need to put in place the systems. We need to put in place, the programs and the projects. We need to keep the ground or the environment viable for the implementation of arts economy. I don't know as to whether my colleagues are aware that arts and culture is one of the cornerstones for our economic growth, just like mining, just like tourism, just like agriculture. But it has been denied implementation because the environment is not enabled. Everyone is just doing as he can. Let me share this in the light. In South Africa, we could see all mode of transport going continentally and internationally, with tons and tons of minerals. That by its own will be saying to you, this is an indication that mining in economy is well implemented. Let us go to agriculture. You will be seeing, the trucks, all the mode of transport. ZZ2 as an example, taking tomatoes far and nearer, cutting across all the provinces in South Africa, going continentally and going even internationally. That by its own is a clear indication that agricultural economy is implemented. We see the visitors coming in and out, visas prepared, and visitors coming in here for many other reasons. Business, cultural interconnectedness, indication that tourism economy is implemented. So I'm saying to my colleagues, until the environment is enabled, until the viable and are oiled for the implementation of arts economy, we will never say we will arrive to the point whereby artist lives or artist livelihood will be satisfactory. Artists will go on suffering for as long as the systems of the government of South Africa is still the same as it is. The artists will still be suffering for as long as we don't wake up the giant economy, the art economy up. We start implementing it. Implementing it in a way that all the arts and cultural ornaments or products are aesthetic, are of highest quality. They become market connected, internationally, continentally, and nationally, in a way that artists will get incentives, in a way that our country also can benefit by collecting revenue. So, all those things we're talking about, artists suffering, artists, wanting the reliefs, you doing 1, 2, 3, they will never come to an end until we get the oil system, until we keep our environment very much enabled for the implementation of arts economy. Arts economy is the only way for us to see to it that artists are relocating from their trended paupers' funerals. Artists' hardships are eradicated up to its finish. So as Democratic Artists Party, we are saying arts and culture should become a societal issue whereby right from the municipalities, our local, our councillors, the councillors which will be deployed by Democratic Artists Party will be seen to it that the agendas are influenced by the embedding of the arts and culture issues in the agenda or in the IDP meetings. Arts and culture should become a societal issue unless it is a societal issue through our systems in a way of, synchronizing the sector, doing the audits, finding out what are really the challenges that are lying in the sector. We won't eradicate all these problems, maximally, effectively, and efficiently. So as Democratic Artists Party, we are saying the arts and culture sector has been long flushed out of the systems of the government of South Africa. So as the Democratic Artists Party is saying, we need to take back the arts and culture sector. We need to just start afresh. It's like nothing has been done. You can't cry about the relief fund, whereas there are no systems.
Thank you very much. So we've given you between 5 to 10 minutes to tell us, Sokoti, why should the cultural and creative industry practitioners vote for your party? I will share my views, but for now, I want you to unpack your own things to the public. So the next question, which we also discussed with our last guest, you understand, with the Action SA, EFF, and DA. It's easy to talk about all these things that we are raising, but when they are not part of the manifesto, it's just a talk shop. Yeah, you understand? So you were talking, like, for example, Loiso, in terms of locally, everything needs to start locally, right? And in November, we're talking about local election. You can't be talking about change in the arts and culture or cultural and creative industry when the party that you guys are involved are not saying anything. What should be happening in the local government? We have started to advance the interest in arts and culture. So now, I want you, all of you, to unpack your manifesto when it comes to cultural and creative industry. We don't want to hear Farouk's ideas, Loiso's personal ideas, or Sis Julia's. what is it in your manifesto that is talking about? I'll give a typical example. When I did a show that is asking why should a cultural and creative industry practitioners not voting for ANC? When you go to ANC manifesto, there is nothing that talks about arts and culture. There is nothing that talks about cultural and creative industry. Is ANC saying to the provinces in South Africa, if you are more interested in cultural and creative industry, don't vote for us because we don't have any plans? How many artists do we have in this country that are struggling in their own communities to get spaces to rehearse, spaces to perform, spaces to do creative art? Yet you've got political parties that want artists to vote for them. But when you read the manifesto, which is sort of like a Bible for the political party when they come to power, there's nothing that talks about that. So I'll give you, Farouk, first chance. Tell us, what is your manifesto saying about arts and culture or cultural and creative industry practitioner? Thank you.
Okay, let me get straight to it. I think in a general sense, most political parties, and I can almost say it's like for everyone, people do not mention arts and culture specifically, but it's within the financial sector.
Point of correction. Let me correct that. That's untrue. There are political parties that have arts and culture and cultural and creative industry, because as part of the research of the show, I've been reading the manifestos of the other party. So if you are not aware of them, let's be honest about that and say, I'm not aware, but it's not true. There are political parties that have in their manifesto arts and culture. Over to you.
So let's go there. Let's go there. So thank you for correcting me on that. I wasn't aware that some people do specifically mention them, but I believe that for most people, especially for what Jama-ah stands for, there's no specific statement, but we have a general statement in terms of business, of how we can support and, not just the creative sector, but business in general. Our industry as, creatives would be dead without investors, would be dead without people having jobs, having money to buy into what we have. So we have a general structure for everyone. We're focusing on bringing the entire country back to where it's supposed to be economically. Back in 2008, when there was a global economic crisis, I had certain suggestions that I made to the Minister of Finance back then to show them, listen, this is how we can actually escape an economic crisis, and they never listened to me. Today, I still have the breakdown of those things, and people are looking for that information. I'm not going to give it to them. I can actually sell it. But the thing, I have the expertise. It's about having experience. You cannot just throw all your hopes and dreams into something, into someone, or into a party that doesn't have experience, that doesn't know what to do when it comes to business. It is a business at the end of the day. If people cannot support an artist to have his business become successful, is going to be a failure. I do agree with my fellow colleagues on everything that we complain about. As my brother said, he's a Pan-Africanist. Yes, I am too, 100%. If I look at what my sister was talking about just now, things not being interconnected, I can actually show you where it's not connected in a certain area. Let's talk about sports, recreation, arts, and culture. That is completely separate from the tourism guys. They don't really connect and communicate that much. Because of that gap between the two, business doesn't go ahead for us. If those two departments get put together with a monthly, even if it's like 3 times a month, once a month even, to say, okay, let's work on something to say, for tourism, let's do these things for our people. I know from my party alone, we can easily bring in over 12,000, 20,000 tourists into South Africa from different countries. Very easy. And we've been discussing these things with ministers, and that will happen for different places. We're bringing other countries, to South Africa, and people from different places to work with our economies, whether it is farming, whether it is, any type of business related thing, especially even our creative sector. We need to present our culture to these people. If I ask my fellow colleagues about a certain art industry, if I ask them about nasheed artists, how many people, like even yourself, do you know what the nasheed artist is? Can you answer that? Do you know what a
Okay.
nasheed artist? Do you know what a nasheed artist is?
No.
Ever heard of? Exactly.
No.
So we're representing every type of artist in South Africa. There are certain things that where there's certain artists that engage in international competitions, and they're known out there, but the rest of South Africa's public don't even know they exist. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying we will open up the entire industry to the creative sector, but we need to make sure that we actually have everything, in line and prepared. It boils down to experience. It boils down to experience. We know what the problem is. The problem is bad administration. Finish, klar. That's the problem that we have in South Africa. And because of there being bad administration, people not having the experience, they don't know what to do with the creative sector. They let it fall. It's like, ball slipping through their fingers, gone. They don't know what to do with it. I'm saying to the creative sector, vote for people that can actually handle it. I'm not saying that I don't want to put shade on my colleagues. This is not a competition, I don't want to be bad against them. But all I'm saying is the creative sector should vote for Al Jama-ah because we're very strict. There's a reason why we are so strict with, our laws, our governance. We focus on an Islamic ethos. Everyone knows Islamic guys are like, hey, don't mess with us. Corruption would be gone. That's one of the guarantees that we can actually give, because we do not tolerate people stealing, people with long fingers. We don't trust those things. We don't like it. We have rules and regulations. We want to remove things like interest on loans. There's a lot of things we need to fix the entire economy to make sure that we help the creative sector. You cannot tell me that you're going to blast money towards an artist. Anyone can give me money, but if the economy isn't right in South Africa, I'm going to waste that money on what? I'm not going to do anything. I need a system that is structured. And yes, my sister said, oh, these things are not put in place. But the thing is, the question is, do you have the expertise to do that as a party? I don't think so. If I look at what we have, we've got expertise. Even the president of this party is an expert in finances. I myself, I used to work in an actuarial department amongst a little bit of Einstein guys, working with crunching numbers. A lot of people mistake artists and they think, you're just a guy trying your luck. Some of us are actually skilled in the financial sector. I used to spend a lot of years in the financial sector. I know numbers, I know what to do. So when it comes to experience and things, that's where I want to go with it. I'm saying, give your vote to the party that's actually going to do something with immediate effect. I want to make sure that we pass laws, local laws, like, bylaws within each and every municipality to make sure that local artists will benefit from their municipalities and nationally. But not only there, our municipalities need to promote our artists internationally. And that can be done.
Okay, thank you very much. And to the other guests that are still going to speak, please, I also begged in our last guest, stick to the question. Yeah, you understand? Because, a lot of people are always say, politicians are liars. They always talk. Yeah, the question is simple. Unpack your manifesto, you understand? And try to align it with, like, for example, the cultural and creative industry. Like, for example, I would say before I go to Loiso, Al Jama-ah, there was a time Al Jama-ah was doing, I think, a couple of years to call out like businesses to identify like new businesses from different local areas, which I thought it was one of the most brilliant ideas, because you even went online to search for, to help new people to start business. So you will think, hearing from what you are saying, art is also business. In every local municipality, there are NPOs, there are private companies in the cultural and creative industry. I'm still waiting to hear one day, like parties that are involved in business to say, in arts entrepreneurship, this is what we are doing, and this is what we are proposing. As I said, there are parties that will say, in each and every ward, we'll make sure there is a community art center, or there's a space for artists, or there are some that will say, we'll make sure churches and schools are used, you understand, as spaces for the artists to go and vote, so that we we don't come here, like for example, Loiso, to say we are only speaking about Khayelitsha, because you will be excluding the other potential voters for you, APC, that are in the other areas. You understand? Same applies with Jama-ah. Same applies with Democratic Artistic Party. You understand? We want to hear your ideology and stuff. When it comes to the cultural and creative industry. We understand. Remember the show, it's called State of the Arts, and we are more interested in the cultural and creative industry. Loiso Tamoi, please unpack your manifesto. Does your manifesto speak to the cultural and creative industry, or there's nothing that is there, but you understand that you are having certain play? Your time, over to you, say. Is Loiso still there, or connection problems? Let's assume it's connection problem. Sis Julia, over to you, Sis Wam. Tell us more about your manifesto. How does it speak to the artists, to the cultural and creative industry practitioners? Over to you.
Yeah, as a Democratic Artist Party, I heard one colleague of mine saying there is bad administration. So bad administration resulting from, lack of encompassing of arts and culture issues, right from their political space up to the administrative space. Because if all those things were discussed at the political space, they were going to be implemented in the administrative space. So as Democratic Artist Party, we are the only party with two manifestos. We're having our political issue manifesto, our political manifesto. We're having our arts and creative manifesto. Meaning we are the only party in South Africa, when you go into the communities, will be telling artists, this is what we're having for you as Democratic Artist Party, because we believe in the rolling out of arts economy. We would like to see the refurbishing of the art centers. We like to see the multi-purpose centers, kept very much alive. We would like to see arts business very much legislated. Artists going to functions, or artist works, or having been, outsourced. At the end of the day, they be told that we don't have budgets. All those things must come to an end. We need to legislate the business in such a way that no artist should perform for mahala anymore. And again, we'll see to it that as a Democratic Artist Party, we would like to see SABC music policy in place. I know they don't have music policy. That's why our airplay is dominated by the foreign, arts and culture membership. So what we need to do again is to see to it that all those royalty collectors or royalty bodies, bodies which are collecting our royalties, are becoming very much transparent in a way that almost every artist should be knowing how these collections are done. Because now, seated here, whatever we're doing, come the time whereby we allocated royalties, we just receive whatever given to us, because they are not transparent enough to say this is how we come to this figure in terms of royalties. And again, as a Democratic Artist Party, we say we want to realize 80% local content airplay. We are sick and tired of seeing, these foreign labels, recording labels, having flooded here in the country. We need to have all those recording labels very much pronounced for us South Africans to see to it that they sign our artists. The contracts thereof are becoming very much transparent to the artist, given a very stipulated period for this artist to go through before he or she can sign. Maybe it become legislated in a way that before an artist can sign a contract, sometimes some of our artists are not well educated, they are illiterate. So maybe it becomes a law that before an artist get or enter into a contract, at least there should be a third body in the form of a legal representative, or the person who is capable enough or who is literate enough to can go through the contract before this artist can sign the contract. And again, we have noticed that unless we have our own recording labels sponsored or supported by our own government, which will be able for signing our own artists, we're having the foreign recording labels which are signing, like our culture of doing music. Me as a Pedi, as a typically Pedi woman, doing my own arts with my own culture, singing with Sepedi. All these foreign, pronounced foreign recording labels can't even hear, they don't have interest in my music because they don't gel along with my culture. But if we're having the recording labels, which can be, supported by our own government, the recording labels, South African recording labels, which will be signing our own artists, we will see a way of, dealing away with an 80% or 70% foreign dominated or dominant airplay. At the end of the day, airplay is money. So now our artists it's like they are sidelined because we're not having very pronounced recording labels which are sponsored by our own country for our own artists here in South Africa. Not in music alone, but in almost different genres. We're not having, the foreign interest and foreign attention to our own artists is the cause of the trended paupers funerals to our artists. So again, what we're saying is we need to impact the artist incentives. How much should an artist be paid when performing at government events for this or for given stipulated hours or an hour or minutes? How much when this artist is saying or is doing specification, saying I'm going to be on this event or at this event for this hour at this time, I will be performing 2 songs. For the duration thereof, the duration at which his or her own work has been outsourced should gel along with the legislations on as of how much should this artist be paid. So we're having a lot as Democratic Artists Party because we're having the Standing Arts and Creative Manifesto. So we're saying to artists, go to the voting polls, vote for your party. It is here. It is here. It is reality.
Thank you very much, Sis Julie. And I want to share something before I go to Loiso. When I did the show, because I need to do a follow-up of the things that I say. We did an episode, it was called The Cultural and Creative Industry Must Not Vote for the Ruling Party, but Vote for an Alternative. In that particular show, I gave 10 topics in answering that. One of them, it was Nelson Mandela. Second one, looking at the previous minister in the arts and culture, the 60-day sit-in that was held at NAC, the Parliament Portfolio Committee on Sport, Arts and Culture. Number 5, it was political parties, manifestos. Hence, I said I've read the manifestos. And then number 6, it was 10 Summit that was held to Stellenbosch. Number 7, which comes to my point, is Democratic Artistic Party a solution? And then number 8, it was ANC giving birth to a failed CIFSA. Number 9, other voices from the cultural and creative industry practitioners. And number 10, other ANC failures in the past 27 years. So let's say the ruling party decides to come to the show. We understand that. As the host of the show, we understand that I need to engage them on those things. So when I spoke about your party, Sis Julie, this is what I said. Artists have been saying that it is high time that artists from their own political party form their own political party. Artistic Party has done that, and they are saying, forward we go, united we stand, and together we shall govern. The voiceless shall be heard. Artists leading a way to Parliament for the implementation of arts economy, for the progression of South African economy. They have their website, Facebook page, and also recently launched their manifesto. My take is a good start for the artists, and that maybe this party needs some time as it was established last year. I check out their website, Facebook page, and their manifesto. Lots of work still needs to be done. It is still very amateur-like for now, and maybe needs policymakers to engage and come up with a much more professional document. These are there are so many unprofessional look and feel at the moment. Maybe in time things will change. Go and check them out and make up your mind about them. So that's what I shared on the previous show. But also listening to you today, trying to articulate some of the things, you understand that it's a very opposite of when you are actually reading the document. So I just wanted to share my thoughts. Maybe later on you will respond to my take that I've shared. Like if you look, for example, at the website of Jama-ah, which I think is one of the most professional websites. Yeah, you understand that you know where you are leaded, where you are looking for something. You know, I'll go here, I'll find the manifesto. They've got a page of donation. They've got also a breakdown of how Jama-ah is represented throughout South Africa. It will say we've got 10 councillors, we've got 1 MP, 1 MPL members, 5 constituents office, 6 offices, 1 national seat. For me, which you understand is sort of like exciting, and you get to be invited into that space. You understand that when I'm talking about professionalism, the documents. But I'm gonna come back to you, Sis Julie. Loyiso Damoy, are you still there? Looks like we have lost Loyiso for now. So I think let's continue with the discussion, both of us. The reason why we're asking these questions as the creative passport, to say what is there in the manifesto, because we are running away from political parties speaking about individuals. You understand? I'm happy to hear a political party to say us as this party, not I. You understand? Because political parties must not be made. You have sort of individuals. You have some. What if Farouk, you are not there? You understand? What if someone else, Yabsana, takes over or run? What if Sis Julie, you are not there? But when you are speaking about your party's position and it's there in the manifesto, it's not in one member's mind. It's not in one leader's mind, but it becomes like a Bible for everyone. So now I'm giving you opportunity to respond to what the others were saying. You understand? If Mr. Farouk, you wanted to respond to some of the things that I've raised, some of the things Lois has raised, or Sis Julie, it's your opportunity now to engage or to clarify some of the things. Same applies to you, Sis Julie. You understand? If there are things that you wanted to comment to Lois or to Farouk, to myself, this is the opportunity. Who wants to start?
I'll take it over from here.
Sure, sure.
As you can see, I'm back on the road.
Okay.
Always busy. Well, we're basically also having our manifesto here. We're having manifestos all over the show. And I'm working with an amazing team. We've got different cultural groups also part of us. The Khoisan community is also part of Al Jama-ah. So it's not just an Islamic party. We're open to all communities. You understand what I'm saying? Look at the diversity in my own family. It's like just very all over the show. When it comes down to what you've mentioned, I'm not the only person that has knowledge on certain things. like the question was popped up. Everything can't ride on one man. At the end of the day, I said it's a business. And we've got a lot of business people in here with business knowledge. People that understand the industry, that have a passion for the creative sector. Mention a form of art where you weren't even familiar with, like nasheed artists. You understand what I'm saying? Everyone in Al Jama-ah knows what a nasheed artist is. Everyone knows what a nasheed artist is. That's something new that you're gonna learn about. You can go Google it. But there's a lot of things that needs to be included within our entire cultural spectrum. Stuff that's not there. We need to put everyone on the map. And currently, we're going to make sure that everyone is on the map. You get people that come up with new types of music. They're not on the map. They're not represented. Some people will not even recognize them. You understand what I'm saying? So what are we going to do? We're going to make sure the people are there. That's why we are a party for all communities. We're a party for everyone. So we're not only going to focus on saying the creative sector. The creative sector, like I said, would be dead if the business industry does not function within South Africa. Then we're all going to be, it's just going to be a big failure. Government can't just pump money into our direction and we do not have a sustainable system that we can. People don't go and think about, what is art going to do for the economy of the rest of the country? What expertise do they have in terms of other things beyond the creative sector? They need that. If they do not have that experience, what are they there for? Yes, we need political within political parties, creatives, artists are within parties that can have a voice. Jama-ah is one of those platforms. A lot of people can actually shift over, because if we create an artist party, are we only going to serve the creative sector? What about the rest of the country? There's a lot of things that needs to be dealt with. Who's got experience in, waterworks amongst the artists? I know I do. I know I've got the financial background behind me. There's a lot of things that people do not have. It's a lot of skills that people need to acquire. Within this party, we share everything that we know. We've got a knowledge basket. We know how to do things. Like I said, the problem is bad administration, bad people in power. They shouldn't be there. Give us that spot. We will sort it out. It's that simple. And like I said, we will bring people from other countries into South Africa. Tourists will come back. We are focused on a post-COVID setting. We're not thinking about lockdowns. We're thinking about the country that's back on track. Things are going backwards for COVID. We're looking forward. We're not looking at the fourth wave and all these other kinds of waves. We knew from the start what was needed in the beginning when there was a pandemic globally. The government didn't listen to us. They were supposed to lock down this country completely. The only country that actually implemented something like that was New Zealand. We know that for a fact because we have that within our own ideological system, that whenever there's a breakout of stuff, nobody should travel. Lockdown, you don't allow people to come in. And if there's a pandemic within your country, nobody should be allowed to go outside your country. That is a rule that we have in our Islamic, faith. And especially people wearing masks. That is not something that was invented by the West. It's stuff that they copy from us. If you know people like, physicists like Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd. Now, especially when it comes to creative sector and the artists, we like to capture history. When it comes to physicists like that, going back in centuries, we look at individuals like the names I mentioned. The Europeans would call them Avicenna and Averroes. That's not their names. You understand what I'm saying? They rewrite your name. So we as create, we record history. We rewrite the wrongs that people have done in the past. Most of the stuff about Africa was written by people that's not from Africa. You go into the library and you go look for a book on Africa and you just find, boom, everything was written by a European. What do they know about this country? What do they know about this continent? They don't know our history, but who wrote it? You understand? So we as creatives, people that actually know their history, we document, we record. I go and take my great-grandfather's photo down, the album, the picture that's there, the frame, and I can turn it around and I will find the names of every child that he had. And this is going back many years. Talking about before Nelson Mandela was born. Going back many years. And he's Madagascar. He's a black man. He's much darker than our local South Africans. He's like pitch black. The blue-black type of persons. But he's very handsome. He's a flippin' handsome guy. I've got his features. I look like him. I'm just a different color. But he's a very beautiful man. Everyone knew that. And he was basically very well respected by the community. I'm saying, vote for a party that's going to do the work. I listen to the talks of the other parties, that you interviewed, that you basically interviewed yesterday, they actually brought nothing to the table. I'm going to be honest, they brought nothing to the table. The DA is a waste of time. They're only focusing on creating a few things. I don't want to look after a building. I don't want to set up here something for you to say, okay, we brought you a space here to have a show. I don't want that. I want to see what they're going to do for the people on the street. They never really talked about the average guy on the street who's a creative artist. They're not going to bring out upskill people or bring them from underneath to the top. Say, here's someone that we can showcase by just having something over there. People are selective. Ask any artist that paints or does sketching how difficult it is for them to even get a spot at any of the museums or any of the galleries out there. They are selective. We have a lot of things to go through and iron through as a nation. I'm saying here's a party. It's a no-nonsense party. South Africa needs iron fist leadership. We've got it. This is the party that you're supposed to vote for. I'm not against my colleague over there, but I'm saying, yes, we should join forces. Come join us. We've got the expertise. Stand with us to achieve these things. We can open up a complete section within this party that is dedicated to the arts, but we need more creative artists to actually join on it, to say, okay, let's take this on as a united force. That's what we're supposed to do. We are in parliament. We are there. Some person just talked about his own community. How is that going to serve the whole country? It's not going to serve anyone else in this country. I'm thinking about Nelson Mandela Bay, Durban, Cape Town, Joburg, everywhere. That's where the focus should be. I look at my sister and she's talking about, the creativity of her side. I love the work that she does. If she had to look at my artwork, she would see her own culture within mine as well, because I combine cultures like nobody else does. Go look at my artworks. You can Google Afro-Arabian Empire or just search South African artist Farouk Muhammad. You'll get me immediately.
Let me come in.
If you do a search on the internet, you'll find it. Everything is there.
Let me come in. I've given you time and I've been giving you a signal. Before I go to Sis Julie, Farouk, do you know anything about Sakai?
Sorry, you're just breaking away a little bit there. I can't hear you.
I was asking, do you know anything about Sakai?
This signal is gone.
Sakai?
Sorry, we've got signal problem. Can you repeat that?
Are you hearing me, Sis Juliane?
No?
I was asking, can you hear me, Sis Julie?
Yeah.
I was asking Farouk, do you know anything about Sakai?
Sakai of Romeo. Yeah.
I'm asking Farouk. Farouk, do you know anything about Sakai?
I cannot hear what you're saying. What are you talking about, Saka?
I'm asking, do you know anything about Sakai?
I don't know.
Okay.
Why it's breaking
Do
away
you know
that time,
anything
man.
about
I
Sifa?
need to speak to him because I don't know if he's going to hear me.
Do you know anything about Sifsa? Let's leave Sakai.
Industry, South Africa.
Brother, I can't hear you.
Do you know anything about Sifsa?
Brother,
Let's
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Okay, let's leave it for other day.
No, I can't. I
wanted to check something. Sis Julia, let's hand over to you. We've given Uliwe any comments, any response that you want to have. The opportunity is yours.
Yeah, when it comes to Democratic Artist Party, you said something like it's a new party and it's like the website is being dealt with. Yeah, we are agreeable. Isn't it? We are the party for the people. Maybe our colleagues in here are not aware that the Democratic Artist Party is not the party which is going to deal with arts and creative industry alone. It's just that we are pushing the agenda for arts and culture, not compromising it, but doing it maximally. We are a political party. Like my colleague here, I heard him saying we are not good, we might not be good in business and all stuff like that. How can we not be good in business, whereas we're talking more about foreign investment? How are we going to juggle around, foreign investment? How are we going to proliferate us and creative industries, the industries and the factories in the country wherein our people will get, millions and millions of jobs. As Democratic Artists Party, it is obvious, business-wise, we having some plans. We are saying with all those products by the artists, let there be proliferated arts industries and factories. We're seeing artists on daily basis, going to arts economic zones that will be established, are cutting across every province in South Africa. Artists, with their handbags, getting there, working the whole day, and at the end of the day, they're getting incentives. Different genres will be embedded under the same roof, whereby those who are dealing with, traditional attires will be doing them. Those who will be doing some shoes will be doing some luggages, some handbags, all those things becoming market connected. That by its own, it says a lot of incentives to the artists, a lot of collection of revenue to our own government. We are sick and tired. We're hearing people ridiculing our country, calling it names, saying South Africa is an unemployment predicament. There is nothing like that, colleagues, nothing at all. South Africa has got a potential to establish millions and millions of jobs. It is just that all the parties in parliament don't have interest, and they don't have interest for actualizing the local talent. Actualize the talents. The talents are the important missiles for the creation of our jobs here in South Africa. Artists took it from their Lord, the Creator. We are the creatives. We can create jobs. All these political parties and our government will stop undermining us. We are the direct descendants of our Lord who created heaven and earth. We can create jobs. Job creations is just at the tips of our fingers. We are the pottery makers. We are the the lyrics makers. We sing. We are the wood cutlery makers. We do a lot of things. We are luggage makers. We are dress makers. We are fashion designers. How come that the local talent is not actualized, is not unfolded, actualized, and it become very much still mapped? At the end of the day, if all those things can be done, as Democratic Artists Party is saying, that's where, as the party, as a matter of overemphasis, because people are thinking that as Democratic Artists Party, we're dealing with artists only. We're having very, very, very porous immigration policy or systems. As Democratic Artists Party, we are saying we'll tighten the porous immigration systems, whereby almost everyone who likes to enter South Africa at own desired time will be doing it. That by its own is affecting our own economy. It's affecting employment status, because now all those people are coming in, are becoming very much entitled for RDP houses. They are becoming very much entitled for whatever, bread we're having as South Africans, because we tend sharing. But it is a shame as the country, we share with the people who are not even documented, people who are in the country illegitimately. So as Democratic Artists Party, we are not the party who is looking at the artists alone. We are saying we're gonna put in place the systems for the installation of solar energy system to replace the street lights, so that we can relieve the burden to Eskom. Load shedding thing, it comes, the thing of the past. We're saying as Democratic Artists Party, we are crying about the men killing women now and then. What is the cause? The root cause is there is no balance within the families. Women are given rights, children are given rights. Where are the men's rights? Men are feeling like they've been flushed out of the system. They are angry, even though they can't, saying meaning a man can't just say, you know, sometimes he used to, even if he is going through paralyzing, you know, pain, men can hide that pain. So it is a clear indication that men could feel that they have been flushed out of the system. So as Democratic Artists Party is saying, killing of men, killing of women and children, somehow, the root cause might be the denial of our government for offering men their rights. Let there be the balance within the family. Where are men's rights as the heads of the family? As Democratic Artists Party is saying, we need to stick to our culture. As a typical Pedi woman, I grew up knowing exactly that men are the heads of the family, of the families. Not necessarily meaning that I am against women's rights. They must be there. Children's rights must be there. But to strike the balance, there should be men's rights, because the killing of women and children is also affecting our livelihood and even the economy itself. It is disturbing. It causes a lot of instabilities in the country. It disturbs the livelihood of almost everybody. So as Democratic Artists Movement, we're saying we're not doing with arts and culture things. We're cutting across all the political, issues that are juggled around by almost every political party. We, as Democratic Artists Party, we're saying, as a matter of overemphasis, stop ridiculing our own country. South Africa is never an unemployment predicament until all our talents, in particular we creatives, are actualized, unfolded, actualized, and turned into skills for us to create jobs. For more overemphasis, again, I'm saying we took it from our Lord. We are the Lord's descendants. We are the creatives. We create jobs.
Aha. So to everyone that is watching the show, you've heard from Action SA, you've heard from Democratic Alliance, you've heard from Economic Freedom Fighters. Today you've heard from Jama-ah, you've heard from African Convention people, and you've heard from Democratic Artists Party. You understand? It's up to you. You understand that when you are going to vote for who? Our job is just to bring all these political parties and the ones that want to engage so that they can speak for themselves. You understand? And then at the end of the day, you decide. Thank you very much to my guest. Uloyiso Tamoy has mentioned issues with the connection. We truly understand that. Thank you very much to Sisuli. It was really nice to have you in the show. Thank you very much to Farouk, who's on the road, who can't be with us in closing. So to be fair, we understand that we will call it a day. From me, Thami Mbongo Mbuyiso Ngalezo Ndimo Sondiso Mvemnyama ozala ngomanzana okhumala umthungwa omdleke ndithi makube khosi kube le. Good night.